We are joined by Tony Ortiz, sportscaster for WWJ News Radio 950. How you doing, Tony?
I'm all right, Shayna. Sorry about the technical
No,
difficulties.
they happen sometimes, but we have a lot of great things to talk about, very exciting things. We heard from a super fan, a lifelong super fan, just a few minutes ago, who said these Lions are not the same old Lions, and he knows. He's been watching them for decades. So what do you think, from where we stand, Tony? Are these the same Lions?
No, not at all. These are a definitely different set of Lions that we're seeing, Shayna. The one thing that surprises me and the one thing that's great about these Lions is the fact that there is a grit and determination. There's a blue-collar work ethic, and I think people in Detroit identify with that blue-collar work ethic. It's been a long time since Lions fans have been able to identify with a team like this one, and I think that's really paid off for this team, and it's really paid off for fans because they can get behind this team, and you saw it yesterday, just the enthusiasm, the electricity at Ford Field. And I think when Sunday afternoon's game rolls around, either against Philadelphia or Tampa, you're going to see that same exact energy and electricity at Ford Field.
Let's talk a little bit about that comment. We aired a soundbite just a few minutes ago from Matt Stafford. I sensed a little bit of saltiness in that comment. Maybe the booing got to him, but he said he was happy for the players, not necessarily the city of Detroit. Did you read into that at all?
Yeah, I read into that a little bit. I think he was a little bit salty about the fact that he was booed literally from the moment he stepped on the field in pregame warmups all the way through the game. And yeah, I think that got to him a little bit because when he parted in Detroit, there were a lot of fans who were sorry to see him go. In fact, there were a lot of Detroit fans, Shayna, who rooted for him when he was a member of the Rams as they made their Super Bowl run a couple of years ago. Yeah. So to me, I thought he was a little bit salty. I expect in the next day or so that he will come back with some sort of statement where he thanks the fans. But to me, yeah, I think there was a little bit of anger because he was booed, the way they lost the game. Yeah, it did come off as a bit salty, absolutely.
Sure. And he's got to understand where they're coming from, right? He knows what's at stake here. Tell me more about just the fans' role in this, the 12th man of it all. They may have actually made a difference in the game last night.
At one point in the game, the decibel level from the fans was 118 decibels. That's basically standing next to a jet engine on the runway for an airplane. And I think that is huge because you don't get that type of home field advantage with too many places. The two loudest stadiums I've been to, Shayna, was the stadium in Seattle, which is now Qwest Field, and Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. I thought those buildings were loud, but Ford Field, when the fans get tuned up like they are, that is easily the loudest building in the NFL. So, yes, the fans did have a big role in what happened in Sunday's game against the Rams.
And with that in mind, how big of a deal is it that there is another home game coming up this weekend?
It's a huge deal because especially if they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's something I don't think the Buccaneers will be able to handle. I think Philadelphia is used to it because they're used to their fans being loud. So that may work out a little bit better for Philadelphia. But either way it goes, it's a heck of a home field advantage when you can get your fans to make that much noise. It can throw off an offense. It can throw off a defense. So like you said, Shayna, the 12th man is huge for the Lions in this playoff run.
And if you had to pick an opponent for this coming weekend, Eagles or Bucks?
Ooh, the news person in me wants to see the Eagles because they were a Super Bowl contender, and it's the type of team that the Lions need to beat to get over the hump. But the Lions fan in me, Shayna, wants to see the Buccaneers because I think that's a team that the Lions can handle. So I'm hedging on this a little bit. I'd lean more towards the Eagles. I'd love to see the Lions and Eagles get together at Ford Field.
Sure. Okay. And then finally, before we let go, we'll kind of shift gears a little bit to Harbaugh. A lot of moves happening in the coaching world these days. So apparently he's been meeting with the Chargers most recently. Your take on this whole potential future for Harbaugh?
Not a surprise, Shayna, and it's easily because it's a California job and he wants to eventually live in California. The Chargers are a ready-made team. They have a quarterback in Justin Herbert who's NFL ready and maybe one of the best quarterbacks right now in the NFL. It's a team that's not too far away from making a playoff run. So I could see that being attractive to Jim Harbaugh. The other thing, too, the one thing he's missing now on his resume, he's got everything a coach could want except for one thing. He does not have that elusive Super Bowl title, and going to the Chargers might give him a shot at getting a Super Bowl title. Maybe not next year, but maybe in a few years, Harbaugh could finally get over the hump and win that Super Bowl. Maybe.
Yeah. Talking the man into moving to California when it's 7 degrees in Michigan might not be too difficult, but we will see. All right, Tony Ortiz. Sorry about that. Tony Ortiz, sportscaster for WWJ News Radio 950. We'll see you next time, Tony.
You got it. Take care.